Hello, welcome to the Parenting Program Show. I am your host, Jeremy, the Kung Fu Guy. I am a force of nature married to another force of nature. Her name is Autumn, and we have two amazing, explosive balls of energy called kids. I am a speaker, teacher, author, catalyst, and Kung Fu master, here to help you empower your kids to speak up and own their voice. We're going to unlock and remove the chains of childhood that seem to hold us from our destiny with the tools to have inner strength, confidence to speak up, be heard, and be understood. Let's go play. Game on, yo. Hello and welcome to the Parenting Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy, the Kung Fu Guy, on a mission to empower your kids to speak up and own their voice, teaching families and kids how to create emotional safety and then rolling out into life from there. Today, we're going to talk about 5 tips to help your kids when they feel embarrassed, when they feel shame, or when they feel left out. So parents, how many times have you seen this? Group of kids get together, somebody's left out, and they have a meltdown. Snot and tears and frustration and just a lot of sad feelings. And then you feel bad for them too. And you're not sure what to do. Well, today we're going to cover 5 tips that are going to help you to change that situation almost like magic. And the first step really is you got to help this young lady, this young gentleman, you got to help them to breathe. And the reason this is important is because when you're worked up, when you're upset, when you're frustrated, your brain is actually in a biochemical, a bioelectrical storm. And there's all this friction, all this stuff happening up here, and it's hard to control. Your thoughts are racing. So what we want to do is we want to get the body to slow down. And as the body starts to slow down, then the mind starts to slow down. Our emotions start to slow down. So that's the game we want to play. And the easiest way to do it is just say, hey, I know you're upset. I can see that, but hold on. I can't hear you when you talk that fast. I can't hear you when you talk that loud. Take a deep breath with me. Let's slow down. Just like that. Can you breathe with Daddy? Okay, let's go. Let's try it. And notice when I first started talking, I was running a little fast, I was running a little quick, and then as I start to slow down, they start to slow down with me. So this is the first step that we want to do, is get them centered, calm, and relaxed, not by saying, hey, calm down, but actually calming them down, having them breathe with you. Now, our second tip is going to be a little interesting, a little different than what you might have thought, but once we've got them calmer, the next step is we want to get them to actually laugh. And this is important because when they start to laugh, it loosens the body, it loosens the emotions, and it actually stimulates a different part of the brain from that emotional response of feeling left out, shame, embarrassment, and sadness and anger, those sorts of emotions. See, we can only really feel one emotion at a time. And so if I make laughter the dominant emotion, then that's how we're going to get there. Now, to give you a quick story just on these first 2 steps, Evie is currently 4 years old, and she's got her brother and her cousins. And her brother is 5 years older than her. And her cousins, one of them is also about 4 years older, and the other one's actually a little younger. But sometimes when the kids get together, it's 3 boys and 1 girl. And sometimes they don't want to play with the girl, or they're playing something and they well, you're not ready for this, or you're not this, or you're not that. So they kind of push her out a little bit. Or sometimes it's the 2 bigs against the 2 littles. And it's like, hey, you guys, we're doing this and you aren't paying attention, or you're not strong enough or tall enough, whatever the story. She's upset. She comes to me, she comes to Mom, and the first thing we do is have her take a deep breath with us. In fact, it's gotten so ingrained in her that when Mom or I start to get upset, the first thing Evie says is, okay, guys, take a deep breath. And then she models it on us. At 4 years old, she's already learning to do interventions. So definitely a proud dad moment for me. And then the second step with laughter, with Miss Evie, it's kind of easy. We just tickle her, and you can kind of fry her circuits and get her fixated away from whatever emotional thing was going on and get her to relax and be silly. Now, it might not be appropriate for you to tickle your child, depending on how old they are, but it's the idea that what could I do? What could I say? What's a pattern? What's something that's silly, a weird observation, something to help them to relax and to laugh so that we can begin to open up this conversation. Okay. Now, the third step in this process is really we want to start understanding the idea of what we call story and meaning. Because what's happening is your child is worked up. They're upset because in their mind, in their heart, they're telling some sort of story. They don't want me. They don't like me. I'm not included. I made a mistake. I'm a fool. I'm a whatever. They're making this thing all about themselves, and they're not seeing other contexts, other situations, other interpretations. And they're making it, I'm so upset, and they're getting fixated. So we've got to help them to change that meaning. What else could it mean? What else could be the opportunity? What else could be the situation? By helping them to add different points of view, then it starts to become less powerful, that moment, that experience. It hurts their heart a little bit less. So that's the third step is, what's the story, Morning Glory? What's going on? And that's my next question. Once I got Miss Evie laughing, I say, hey, Evie, what's going on? What were you upset about? I won't ask, why are you upset? Because why will always give me a story. I want to ask what happened. I want to decouple the emotion, create some space inside her to look at the behavior and the patterns of behavior from her, from other kids, and then we can change what's going on. We can interpret it in a different way. If I ask her, why are you upset? It's because they left me out and they don't like me and I'm a them and them and she's right back over here, and I got to start over again at step one. Got to breathe, got to tickle, and then it's easier. Just don't ask why. Get into what's happening. How did that happen? What's going on? What are you upset about? Why are you upset? What are you upset about? What happened? What did they say? What was going on? So I want to be very clear on that word, that what word. And then the fourth step is going to be, what else could it be? Okay, so I understand that you wanted to do the thing and you wanted to ride bikes, but your cousins are riding bikes and they left without you, and so you're feeling left behind. Is that accurate? Well, what else could it mean? Could it mean that we just need to get your bike and we need to go catch up with them? Does it mean we need to work on you pedaling a little faster? Does it mean we need to talk to them about slowing down and remembering that even though you're strong and super fast, you're still a little bit smaller than them, so you don't take as big as steps? So what I do is I begin to spin out a variety of different patterns, a different language, different options, different interpretations. Some may make no sense because I want to keep her in that place where she's laughing. But also some of it is just opening up other possibilities. Oh, I hadn't considered that. Yeah, that makes sense. That's interesting. And so that's where me being ahead of her as a leader, I can pull her over to where I am. I can pull her into the place that I am. We can have a much more fun conversation. And then the last step, number 5, is we want to define the meaning. And then what is our next steps? So we want to come to some sort of conclusion or get some sort of clarity about that event or about that moment, so that going forward, oh, she spilled the milk. Oh, well, I shouldn't be running holding on to milk. That's a good one. So when it comes to being left out by her brother and her cousins, so next time, do you want to make sure you say something first? You want to remind them to go a little slower. And then we'll also have a conversation with them here in a few minutes so that we can all be on the same page. Would that make you feel better? So I'm getting some clarity from her. What would make her feel happy? What would make her feel acknowledged, feel heard, and feel included? And so it's a very quick, easy 5 steps. Number 1 is you got to breathe. Number 2, you got to loosen up, laugh. Number 3 is you got to come to understand the meaning in the story. So what happened, so that I can find out what's the interpretation. And then number 4, what else could it mean? What else could possibly be going on? And then number 5, decide on the meaning. And that's the cool thing. You can just make it up. You can just decide that's what it means. It means I'm awesome. And you move forward. And then what's your next steps? So once you have the meaning, then you go next steps. And that's how you get the child back into the group or into the activity. And this also works for adults too, by the way. So I'll share with you another story. I had a 5-year-old student in the martial arts school. It was his very first class. And by 9 years old, he was a black belt. So we recovered this situation beautifully. But his name was John, because they're all named John. And he was in his very first class, and he's wearing his uniform, and he was super nervous and wanted to do a very good job. And so he's standing at attention, and we're asking, making sure you check on your body, self-control, all these wonderful things. And then he's standing in a pile of his own urine because he peed himself because he was too afraid to ask to go to the restroom. As a quick aside, parents, 3, 4, 5 years old, when they say I have to go pee, that's not at some future date that they're letting you be noticed about. It is like in the next 15 seconds, you need to move, you need to go, because their body awareness usually is very short. So when they say they got to go, they got to go. And we don't wait around on that stuff. But of course, he's embarrassed, he's mortified, he is crying, he's so stressed out. So first thing was get him off the floor, get him where people can't see him. And we had to change of clothes, so that was no big deal. And we got him changed into clothes. And then again, it was the first step. Dude, you got to breathe with me, okay? I can't hear you right now. You're crying too loud. I can't make sense of it. I want to understand. I want to be able to help. But you got to breathe for me, dude. And so get him to calm down. Get him to breathe. Once I have that, then we can begin to build the next steps. And the next step was, I got to get him to laugh and relax, right? Well, you only peed on your first class. That's not that big a deal. My first class, I threw up. Like, we did jumping jacks and push-ups and sit-ups and squats. And then I ran past Grandmaster Ming to go to the bathroom. My face was purple. And he was like, oh, he's not coming back. Yeah, he's not going to sign up. And then come to find out, guess what? In just a couple of months, I was training 7 days a week, and today I'm a Kung Fu master. So just because you start something and it gets a little bit rough, doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to be forever. Doesn't mean that's the way that it has to be. It was just a moment. So, have we learned something today? Have we taken something away? So who should be the boss of your body? Should I be the boss of your body? Should your instructors be the boss of your body? Or should you be the boss of your body? And he said, I should be the boss of my body. I say, you're exactly right. High five. So next time, going forward, you ever have an issue going on, your body's telling you something, you let us know so that we can get things taken care of. Does that make sense? He said, yes, sir. And that was an awesome answer. High five. And so going forward, and that's why I said, is going forward, what are our next steps? We set some guidelines. Check with him, make sure he goes to the bathroom before class. I touch base with mom, make sure that he had a chance that even if they get here a little bit late, it's okay to go to the restroom, make sure everything's settled, because we don't want the students on the floor to feel stressed or anxious or to deny what they're feeling, because the whole point of our program is to empower them to speak up for themselves. So if they're not feeling comfortable, we want to know that, and that's okay. It's okay if you're uncomfortable, dude. You got to let us know that stuff. So we got to train mom and dad. In this case, it was just mom, but we got to train mom. Here's what to look for. Here's what to listen for. And it's okay. We can adapt. This isn't the military. We're not that hardcore, because we're dealing with growing young hearts and young minds and young bodies. And we're going to have these moments where things go sideways and things get messy and whatever the case. So again, what's the pattern? What's the 5 steps? Number 1, you got to help them breathe. And it helps if you're breathing too. So just take a deep breath with them. Number 2, get them to laugh. Get them to relax and not be tense. Then they're open for another conversation. And then number 3, ask what happened. Get the story. Get the structure. What's going on? Why are you upset? What are you upset about? Different statement. And then look for the alternative meanings. Look for other things. What else could it mean? Could it mean this? Could it mean that? And finally, decide on the meaning. And it's got to be we both decide, not I decide for the child. I help them to decide. Does that make that feels good? Okay, then that's going to be what we'll just say that's what's important. And then what's our next steps? Where do we go and how do we get back into the activity or the community or the whatever the thing? Okay? And sometimes when we go through this process and the kids are still upset, maybe the activity or the group or wherever we are, maybe it's not appropriate for them. Maybe this isn't a good fit. Maybe there's another environment where they would do better. So also be sensitive to that, because if you're finding a lot of these, I have to keep reframing, I have to keep running these 5 steps, that's a sign this environment and your child are not on parallel. They're crashing into each other and it's causing just a lot of pain. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. Nice and quick and short and to the point. 5 quick tips that you can use to help your kids deal with embarrassment, shame, or feeling left out. And I want to remind you, just as a word of wisdom from me to you, you have a right to be happy, to be healthy, to be safe, to be wealthy, and to be wise, and so do your children. And let's make sure that we're giving that opportunity to ourselves and to the people around us. You make it an outstanding day. And remember, you can always find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on all the different social media platforms. I am the only Jeremy Roadruck in the entire internet, so you feel free to search me, you'll find me. I'm not hiding. And that's it. You guys make it an outstanding day. Hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Bye. That went quick.